So he stole those $25,000. All the donations that were sent to help my case were also stolen by him. He used the credit card of my friend to buy tickets for him, his wife, and the family to go on vacation. I myself a lot because of what happened. And you know, my Filipino friends, they raised more than 3 million pesos to help, and all that money was stolen. Mabuhay! So today I want to be sharing with you what went wrong and how my friend scammed a lot of people, taking advantage of my situation. If you don't know me, my name is Piero and I'm currently living here in the Philippines. And if you want to know about my story on how I was detained by ICE and how life is inside detention, you can check the link to my description. I'm gonna start talking about how was my case in general. So when I was detained on November 13, my friends outside were already trying to look for an attorney to help me with my case. By that time, it was really difficult because a lot of people were pretending to be attorneys just because of the money. Because having an attorney, it's not a cheap thing. We were able to find one that a few days later, after accepting my case, he dropped my case, but it was because he didn't receive the money. So that's something that we found later. Then by the last week of November, I was able to find an attorney that he took my case, and he was the one who helped me through my first bond hearing. Now, I want to mention that bond hearing and asylum hearing are two different things. Both of them you have to pay individually. And also, a bond hearing, it's a hearing that you do to look for a bond that if you get the bond approved, you can go out and continue your asylum case outside detention. And an asylum hearing, it's your main hearing when it comes to your asylum case. One of the requirements with this attorney is that I have to assign someone that I trust to be like the direct contact between him and me, so he can also help with the case as well. We ended up picking up this friend because he was the one with the time in his hands. Later, in December, I was moved to a different detention, which was one of the worst. You can check the video here if you want to know how that detention was. And in that detention, on December 19, I had my first bond hearing. That was the first time and last time that I saw my attorney, because we've been talking to the phone, but when it comes to the hearings inside detention, you do it through a video call. So you can see the court in one screen, and then you can see your attorney in another screen. You can also have a translator if you need as well. So my first bond hearing got denied, and everyone was sad, and we had the chance to appeal that decision. You also have to pay for the appeal. Then Christmas happened, New Year's happened, and then on January 4, I remember I called my mom first thing in the morning, and she picked up the phone crying, happy, telling me that, oh, your bond got approved, congrats. The thing is that the amount of the bond was $15,000. And I was like, oh, that's a lot. And for example, I know other people in detention that their bond got approved for $3,000 or $5,000. But $15,000 was a lot. My friends paid for that. And 3 days later, I was moved to a different detention. And then one of the things that the attorney at this point told us is that every time you got moved, like the processing time is moved as well. So I was like, okay, then I have to wait a few days later after we pay to get released. Okay, I was like, okay, fine. Then the bond got increased by $18,000, then $20,000, then $25,000. And my friends paid that. And then this bond was already paid, and I was still here in detention. Then a few days later, after they paid the $25,000, the bond was rejected. And the money was supposed to be returned in 3 months from that. And that was in January. Okay, I was like, you know what? I tried. I remember the attorney at this point was not answering my calls, but he was supposedly in contact with my friend that I assigned for my case. He told me that I have the chance to leave on my own, like buying my own ticket and then leave on my own. And that's a completely lie. You cannot leave on your own when you're in detention. You have to wait for the ICE or the detention center to send you back to your country. So a week before I was sent back to Venezuela, this attorney told my friend that I have to ask ICE for my departure. He mentioned that he already filled some papers. He asked for more money for those papers. And he also bought some tickets using my friend's credit card for me to leave and all that stuff. And I believe him. But I asked ICE for my voluntary departure. And on that day, I remember I called my friend and I told him, don't believe this attorney anymore. I think he's scamming us. I think he's not doing everything that he said that he's doing, because I signed my voluntary departure and I read it and I'm going to be sent to my country when they want. And let me tell you something. After you sign your voluntary departure, you don't know when are you going home. You can spend 1 month, 2 months, 3 months after you sign your voluntary departure and they haven't sent you to your country yet. I was sent back to my country a week later after I signed. And when I get to Venezuela, I get to see my mom and my grandma after 8 years without seeing them. And I was at peace. At some point I was at peace. I was like, okay, I did everything I can. I tried to fight my case. It's fine. Thank you for everything. Let's move on. But when I get to Venezuela, my friends call me and start telling me that my friend, or the person that I thought it was my friend, stopped the services with the attorney after the first bond hearing. Then this friend created a fake email, a fake bank account with the name of the attorney, that everyone was depositing the money there and there was no bond. So he stole those $25,000. All the donations that were sent to help my case were also stolen by him. The tickets that they were supposed to be for me to leave on my own, he used the credit card of my friend to buy tickets for him, his wife, and the family to go on vacation. He pretended to be the attorney all the time after my first hearing. And when I talked to the attorney after all this time, when I was already in Venezuela, he told me that I have a strong case and that I can win my asylum case in the US. But yeah, I blame myself a lot because of what happened. I feel like when I found this at the beginning, I was like, I should have done something. I should have figured it out sooner. And my Filipino friends, they raised more than 3 million pesos to help, and all that money was stolen. I have friends who asked for a loan to help. So I feel guilty because of all this happening. I know everything happens for a reason, and right now I might not see why everything happened, but I know I'm in the right path to find out. But it's hard, I feel like you don't expect that from a friend that you know since you were kids, because we studied together in school and we kind of grew up together. It hurts me that the people that I care the most were also scammed too. He played with my feelings. He played with my family feelings. He played with my friends' feelings while I was suffering inside. I also want to mention that I have an uncle that he passed away a week before I was sent back to Venezuela. He was really helpful. He helped me a lot. But he died without knowing if I was able to go out or if I was able to go back to my country. Hope he's resting in peace. I hope he knows that I'm very grateful for him. And I'm very grateful for all my friends. I miss them a lot. I know I have a lot of support here, but you know, the friends that I have in the US are my like childhood friends. So I know everything happened for a reason, like I said. While I keep putting content out there, and posting videos, and see all your support, I know everything will be alright. Please follow me on my other social medias, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. I will put them in the link in the description. And if you have any question also, please let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one. Salamat po.